How you doing? Oh, really? Thank you.
Oh.
Oh, you were early, you get big things.
Oh, wait, I think that's from yesterday.
Okay.
Pass that on.
Good.
Oh, that was,
Hurry up.
that's a blank sign-in sheet, so
Okay.
it's all right.
No worries. How's everyone today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Fantastic.
Yay. I'm not on camera.
Friday Eve.
Yes, I like the way you put that, Friday Eve.
Listen. Let's celebrate when you can.
That's right. That's right.
The only
Anybody notices? look down.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You have to unpack. Take your time.
But hurry up.
It's called bell work.
They
sound like. Take your time, hurry up.
John Williams says, be quick, but don't hurry.
That's right. That's right.
Guess I can't sit there.
I like that, Tony. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Like your mask. You do? I've got extra if you, looks good on you. Thank you. I've got 6 different colors. I try to color coordinate. All good?
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Ready?
All right, ready? Up. Well, thank everyone for coming to our second session, negotiations. So that you guys know, everyone, bargaining committee has been briefed on the financial subcommittee. Is that what we're calling it? I forget what it's called.
Support staff?
Support staff subcommittee,
Whatever.
whatever, but
Sure.
but we briefed everyone on it, so we know everyone understands that subject matter is being dealt with the subcommittee. And we've also updated them on the TSIA subcommittee as well. That's
So we're looking like the first week when teachers, with students back of starting to meet with the TSI. subcommittee.
so I think everyone's up to date in those regards. And at this point, I think Stephanie's going to kind of go over some things I think that you're going to respond to, right? Let's make sure we're on the same page and then.
So we had, where we left off, we pretty much put everything on the, talked about everything that was on our agenda. And you guys were gonna come back with us with some possible language for like the quarantine during the instruction and turnaround schools with planning time.
Yeah, so we're actually gonna wait for the MOU,
Okay,
the planning time.
okay,
School grades came out today.
Right,
Okay.
don't want to
So
say it.
as you and I had a brief conversation.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do, if a school declined and we don't take the grade, I'd like to be able to use them.
okay.
So they're running the numbers right now. and
Okay.
I probably will have to
So
get.
having a whole list of.
We'll have a
schools
whole,
that would-
everything,
Okay,
yeah. So we
I would
wanted,
read the whole comprehensive list rather have them modified.
okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay.
so that's what we're waiting on.
Okay, perfect. And then I know we wanted to talk about, Laura had touched base with me last week about,
I can send you a draft of the MOU planning time, just so you can look at that, and then that
yes,
way,
thank you.
when everything else comes in, we can just add it to that if you want.
That would be perfect. That would be perfect.
Okay.
And I know Laura had touched base with me last week about us using a chunk of time today to go through COVID protocols and reopening. And I think that would incorporate the instruction during quarantines and what that would possibly look like. And I had told Laura, instead of like just exchanging language back and forth, we preferred to try to draft something together here that worked for that and kind of talk through that. So we were prepared to set aside a good chunk of time getting the COVID reopening ready with teachers coming back and a majority of our staff coming back to school and work this week.
Okay.
So, and then we had the other, I think we were going to cost out the supplements on, because we had put a supplement proposal but we didn't have numbers of who got what. And Heather had shared with us yesterday that they, from May and June payroll, they could run the report of who got which supplements and kind of cost it out that way, and we can go from there. Is Dr. Barrios coming today to talk about network managers, or are we?
I don't think so. It's included in our financial information.
Okay.
review, So, no, not today.
Okay,
You were okay with her only issue was the actual job description. So as long as you're okay with the job description, then that's okay. But if not, then I'll have.
So does the job description references the pay grade, or let me bring the job description back up. So I didn't see anything that stood out as far as the actual job description, except I guess we're now talking about pay grade and where they would fall.
That would rest with finance.
That would rest with finance. Okay. And then Kim, with the job description, you didn't see anything that jumped out with the job description either, right? Okay, so really it's just the pay grade and,
Pay issue, right?
yeah,
Okay.
okay. So the job description is okay on our part, so we'll figure out the pay grade and
Right.
all that stuff. Okay, and then the para sub pay. And then I think go down the list. And the activity pay and degree, that's all kind of rolled into. Yeah, okay. So did you guys want to start with the reopening and then move into financial stuff, or did we want to talk financial stuff?
I'd rather
first?
talk finance first. I think it's.
Okay.
Yes, we do have an agenda here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Do you want to check us out finances? Jason, do you want to?
Thank you.
Or it doesn't, I plan to address everything on there. So if you want to.
It's up to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You need to make copies or do you have it?
And then also going around the room is the district's estimated cost, PEA contract proposal. So everything that you propose is
Okay.
what we were able to cost out thus far.
Okay.
Is the cost out a one pager?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but they were all, you need to,
Okay.
You need a
I can
copy, Laura?
real quick.
You need one more yellow?
Short two.
Get any more of those?
We need one yellow for our team.
And I did want to clarify one thing with the health plan, because we had given that to you guys with status quo last time, and we do bargain jointly with AFSMI. AFSMI is also, we had a conversation with AFSMI. They are also on board with status quo, even though I don't know if they put anything formally, and we haven't really gotten together as a three-pronged team yet. But I didn't want you to think that we did that in a vacuum. So we did talk to AFSMI about.
Thank you for
status
that
quo.
information.
Yeah, so I think that was unclear last time, so I wanted to make that clear to you guys, yeah.
Thanks.
You need to wait for Kendra.
Yes.
So are you gonna, wait,
Are we,
sorry, are we ready? Are we gonna go through the financial part?
we want to start with the health plan like on the agenda, or do you want to just start with the financial costs?
Financial costs.
So, I'm gonna go rather than the order that some are addressed on our agenda. I'm gonna go down our sheet just so that we can all follow a little bit easier, and we'll cover those.
All right, thank you.
Our team was able to cost out some of the items. There are a few that are difficult to reach easily, so we have to combine a few reports. Those are the ones that are highlighted in yellow.
Okay,
We're still working on that. So I'll share with you what we know to this point. So the first proposal was teachers attending workshops or conferences other than regular school days, going from 1809 to their regular salary rate. 2980 is the hourly rate of a beginning teacher, and 3225 is the equivalency based on currently employed teachers. So that puts us at 318,000 over our current budget if we use the beginning teacher rate, or 385,000 would be the cost implication to change those rates. The next section is the advanced degrees and annual supplements. So for a master's, it would go from 2,181 to 4,517. That's a $5.6 million increase. For specialists, it would go from 2,899 to $6,766. That's a $248,000 increase. And then for doctorate degrees, from 3,220 to $9,034, which is a $686,000 increase. The health contact supplement was calculated on the currently employed teachers, which is $2.9 million. For all supplements, to add $1,000, we use the listing of those that were paid out in May and June, and that is a $2.1 million increase over currently paid out. As far as Title I schools, and again, we talked in yellow, that's still being looked at. The JROTC, to discern between a 10 and 12-month teacher, that requires a little bit more investigation to make sure we count all those. And the same with activity pay rates. We would have to identify those teachers that have these degrees and then estimate the amount of time that they would be working. Then we make our way to the network managers. The new district position would be 28,457 is the proposed salary. That's without benefits. That too, 35,162. So that's the pay range based on currently employed individuals and new hires. And with benefits, it would be 33,767 to 41,723. That's the range for our salary base. PEA's proposed salary is 45,172 across the board, which is $53,601 as your total salary. So the district's proposed changes with the job description we proposed cost $283,926. PEA's proposal is $1,185,965. It was also requested that we calculate an automatic level increase upon completion of half of the prior school year. So in year one for the paras, that would look like $1,031,845. Year two, because you've gone up a level, would be $1,072,861. Year three would be $1,098,315.17. For the ESPs, the first year is $462,913.94. Year two, $478,366.91. And year three, $503,368. The health contact supplement for the paras equates to $300,800. And the health contact supplement for the ESPs equates to $101,200. So based on the items that we were able to calculate, the year one changes are $15,394,895. Okay.
So with the health, so just because I was looking at, my first question when I looked at the health contact supplement was how many? And so for the health contact supplement in the teacher side, I mean, I took the 2.96 million, divided it by 200 to get how many, and I get 14,800 people, which we don't employ that many people overall. So because that number kind of like took me back, I was like, how can that be the same amount as all supplements or more than all supplements together?
Right.
So I think there's an error
Okay, we can definitely look.
there.
Well, how did you come up with that number? Is it an estimate or an estimate calculation that involve estimates?
It was divided by our number of teachers, and I'll have to ask my analyst to verify.
Because not every teacher is going to be a health contact either.
Exactly.
They won't?
No, they do one designation. Like, well, so you have like a backup to the nurse, and then there's like a backup to the backup and a backup. So you have like 2 to 3 health contacts at each school site. Some of them are paras, some of them are ESPs, some of them might be a non-classroom teacher. They're generally not classroom teachers because they're in the classroom. So it might be possibly a coach or a testing coordinator, maybe an LEA. So there's maybe 2 to 3, but it's usually an ESP.
It's usually an ESP support staff. Last year,
Yeah.
when we did it, in 1920, when we did it, it was generally an ESP
Yeah.
support staff in the front. So if the LPN was out,
They can easily go into the.
from either the 10-month secretary or the 11-month secretary.
Yeah.
One of the secretaries in the front usually covered for that.
Yeah.
So what would a reasonable number for the teacher portion of the health
There,
contract?
and that's why I was saying, because I don't think there's too many teachers that are actually called to do that. It's generally office staff, but we put it in all 3 contracts because there could be a possibility where there is somebody covered under the teacher contract that could be pulled for that. But it is typically your school secretaries.
Especially at an elementary school, I think you only have one secretary in the front and then you have your principal secretary.
Yeah.
And so if your LPN is out, like your clinic nurse is out, then it's automatically, I think, going to default to your 10-month ESP in the front.
Yeah.
If they're out, it usually won't go to the principal secretary, then it will go to someone else, either in administration or on staff as a
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
So I would say, if I had to guess conservatively, if we out of 150 sites, maybe 70 70-ish.
And I, yeah, and
Are
I,
you good with that number?
yeah,
I'm thinking of elementary sites.
yeah.
I'm thinking of just elementary.
Because you're not gonna typically see that at secondary at all, but it's
Right.
gonna happen.
It's gonna
more
happen at
in
elementary.
Elementaries.
So
So 70 times 200 is, yeah,
$14,000.
yeah. So you're not looking at very many. And so did you cost out down here all paras and all ESPs as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're looking at a very small, because even then you're looking at maybe one secretary, one para. Because like Tedra just said, it's mainly your ESPs that get
yeah,
asked
so
to do that
I
job.
don't know that paras are pulled
Probably
generally.
not.
I've not heard that pairs are
Yeah.
pulled. I've heard that more ESP. So if I were to cost it, I would actually leave the ESP number there, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think that's more of an accurate number in terms of those that will likely get pulled.
yeah.
And I would erase the para number
Completely.
completely.
Because,
it's
yeah.
usually not gonna happen with paras.
Because they're already, because most of our pairs are already doing ESE
ESE,
services.
yeah.
And so
Mhm.
they're not, they would pull probably an LEA in the teacher contract to do that before and ask them to do that before they would pull a para at this point.
Someone that's, yeah.
So when you say pulled, it's not a consistent cost. It's only when they get pulled into.
Well, no. They're put on the health contract, like they're
gotcha.
on
They're
the
on the-
form
yeah,
as the
yeah.
official health contact, and they have to have a backup and a backup.
Gotcha.
Like they're trained through Mark Wilcox to be the health contact, because they have to give meds and potentially if the nurse is out. And so this cost should be much lower.
Takes your cost to, sorry, something popped up, $12,148,095.
Say it one more time.
$12,148,095. 12148,095.
Okay. And do you, could you email us the report or the supplements of how many were in each supplement? When you get a chance?
It's by person. It's
Okay.
just by, is it?
So it's not by supplement, like number of head football coaches, number of,
It's by person.
okay.
Person
Is it
and,
in Excel where we could filter that?
yes, person with type of supplement.
Okay. I could go on the top and filter
Yeah,
head
and if
coach,
you
okay,
see anything, like I said,
Okay.
we did it based off what's paid. So if you see anything that's missing or
Okay.
something that shouldn't be there.
okay. Okay, and I believe when I asked the JROTC people for, information, I think there's only 5 based on the information they were able to gather for me, but, that are 12-month that aren't getting the supplements. So that should be also a very minimal cost just to change it from, excluding the 12-month to including them.
So would those 5 receive one of each supplement?
So the way, I think there was only, if I remember the spreadsheet that was sent to me by one of our JROTC members, I think only one of the 12 months got 2. They were, I think all singles other than that, but I can go back and look and send you those numbers too.
That'd be great. I'll
Okay.
add it.
Okay. But even still, I think even if the 5, got 2 or 1, it's a very minimal cost to include those 12 months, folks.
Okay.
So then also. Um, So looking at some of these numbers, did you guys have a discussion? Did you want to talk about amounts? Were you guys going to bring us a counter for some of these supplements? Or did you want to talk through some of it? today?
Can I ask a question on the advanced degrees?
Oh, yes.
On the advanced degrees, the totals that you came up with, are they a picture, a moment in time, or are they a 3-year, total of 3 years, or the annual?
Current.
They're current,
Okay.
just one, okay.
Up here, okay.
Buy lunch.
did you guys want to talk through some or did you have a counter?
I did have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
And we may have discussed it the other day. How did we arrive at a flat 1,000 addition?
We really just wanted to start the conversation, and we thought that some of them are very low. Like I was looking at some of the fine arts ones that are like $100 and something for a pretty big job at this point. And I think because we haven't really looked at it holistically, we've added a few here and there, like with the JRTC, the girls wrestling, the rock band. We've added some here and there throughout the last couple of years, but we really haven't holistically looked at the supplement schedule. And they tend to get sent to the back burner because we're talking salaries as well. And so we noticed that like and I'm just gonna use football coaches, head football coaches, they can go to one of our neighboring counties and make double in that supplement because we haven't really addressed our supplements in a long time.
Do you have a list of what neighboring counties pay versus?
I can get what we've been asking. What I literally did when we were preparing for the impasse hearing last year is when I was looking at salary schedules from other districts just in general, collecting that data, I noticed that like with our master supplements, they were about half. With some of the supplements for like head football coach and some of the academics, they were about half. And so I started looking at that a little bit more intently. And then also hearing coaches like we lost LG's head coach went back to Flagler because he can make more money there and he has family there too. But just those types of things that when you're looking at neighboring counties and trying to keep people, sometimes supplements are a big part of that too when they're doing those extra jobs outside of their duty day. So I have kind of an informal list that I was making, but I can get a more structured list too. And if you guys on your HR side, your HR contacts, we can kind of compare notes.
Do that.
Okay.
But it's a comparison.
I guess what districts though are we talking about? Are you-
I was looking like through I-4, like kind of our neighboring counties who they could go to immediately. And some of our even like Duval's kind of a comparable size, but mainly our neighboring people of who they could jump to right away. Osceola, Orange, Hillsborough, even Seminole, Brevard, people along the I-4 corridor are the mostly who I was looking at.
Okay.
And what's the difference between your and the
No,
the
I kept that.
got it? Yeah, okay. No, I got it.
Okay.
And then I think just addressing the automatic levels for the parent and secretaries, I think looking at budgeting that in, I think that's something we have to start doing, is budgeting. And this really, compared to our overall budget, is minimal. And it gives an experience level automatically to our support staff. And to start budgeting that up front is going to be huge for our support staff because they value that movement on their schedules.
Mhm.
And I think that that's something that we can show them that they're valued and that their experience matters by building this in. And in the big scheme of things, and a $2 billion budget, $1.5 million is really not a lot when you're talking about keeping and retaining and recruiting quality support staff. So I just wanted to put that out there too, that I think that's not a big ask to make sure that those folks at least get a level. And then anything extra, we can talk about COLAs or other salary improvements. But to ensure that those folks get a level each year is huge.
From a financial standpoint, we would not be able to cover all of these requests, and it would require additional conversation and also is dependent upon where we end up with our bargaining for salaries. So we just wanted to provide you all with the costs that we had thus far and any
Okay.
additional information you have that can help us calculate the rest is definitely appreciated. So thank you for the information on the health contact supplement. That was my misunderstanding, and I understand now, so I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and then we can compare notes with some of the supplements too.
But on the level increases, on the COLAs, on the level increases Stephanie was talking about, so we get that a lot of this requires a lot of conversation and planning, what have you. But specifically on this issue, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's really what I'm interested to find out. Everything else, we get it. We have to talk more, but on that particular one, because I think that what Stephanie says makes sense. And I think on your end, if you know, I'm just assuming this, but if you know what year 1 and year 2 and year 3, et cetera, is going to look like, because you have it in writing, you can budget accordingly, right?
The problem that we have is that the state changes our income every year. We do not know what our revenue is going to be. I mean, for instance, the state gave us an extra 7 million.
6.1.
We rounded up 7 million this year. If you remember 2009 to 2013, we went backwards in funding.
Mhm.
So we do not know what our revenue is going to be next year.
But so the answer to that thing, to kind of stick with what you just said, right? Because I think what most districts did when the crisis hit in 2009 is that they re-engaged the unions and said, this is what's going on. Here's some things we need to do. And they engage in conversation with you in terms of freezing, in terms of layoffs, or whatever the story may be. So in our particular county, we negotiate wages and salaries every year, right? So let's just play with the hypothetical a little bit. Assume, God forbid, some kind of crisis occurs where you might be examining your budget and says, oh, we need to really engage with ASME and PEA. So it's not like we have, it's not like your
And we have a clause in the contract that addresses a financial hardship if something like that were to drastically.
I was just
impact.
answering
Yeah.
why steps are very difficult for governments anymore to budget.
That's different, right? That's more of a principle thing. That's different. Because if there's a principle position that we just don't believe in this, right? Then that kind of helps us
We're
understand.
not saying we don't believe in.
No. I'm not. No. I'm just sort of defining something. If it's a principal position that we just don't believe in level increases, automatic level increases, then it helps us sort of, engage in our conversation what we need to do. But if it's a mechanical thing and not a financial thing or budgeting thing, we think that, first of all, everything that Stephanie said, I think people want to know that because they themselves can budget their home budgets. You can budget knowing what's coming year 1, year 2, year 3 accordingly. If there is a hiccup along the way, but just to be nice about it, right? Finances happen to be strained. You're bargaining with the unions every year anyway. So, and plus we have statute up in that kicks in or.
Yeah, financial urgency.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have the
some
financial
statute that kind of
urgency
kicks in.
statute.
So just to wrap up, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are mechanisms in place that address that if we get there. And we think we won't get there I'm not that I have a crystal ball, but in the next 5 years.
I was just gonna say, since we are also faced with raising our minimum wage, I would like to take a look at, which we have not done yet, what does this do for us? In our goal to raise our minimum wage.
That's appropriate analysis. I don't disagree with that. But please include in your analysis, right, as you kind of go through that, is where you are today. Where you are today in terms of your minimum wage, right? 9, whatever it is, I don't really know. I mean, you got there
857 for ESPs and 913 for
for
paras.
the districts, right? You're there, and I'm saying this just as for thought, because we think about it on our side. We're here at that rate because of decisions and circumstances that occur in the past, right? So now we're behind the 8 ball because the market is sort of now kind of really demanding that workers get paid more. And that's how we got to the 15 minute. I remember when the 15 minimum wage was people used to laugh at it, right? And now it's a reality in the state of Florida. So the company, or I should say the district, I should say, is behind the 8 ball. So even if you just consider the market forces that are pressuring you to really do the increase, I would, please consider that in your analysis, because you can't be behind that for too long.
I completely see where you're coming from, and I do agree with Jason as well, because nothing is for certain. So it would be excellent if that were an agreement that we came to, if you did include language in the specification that if funding did not permit, we would come back to the table.
We already have that in our contracts and it's already part of that financial urgency statute.
It's part of state statute
Yeah.
that we've mirrored in our contract.
So that mechanism's already in place. And so as we're looking to increase minimum wage, because we have to, and that's the right thing to do for our people, we also have to look at those types of things like level increases, because you can't forget about the people that are in.
Mhm.
And so we can't just keep compressing at the top to get to the minimum And then all of a sudden we're in a situation like we're mandated to with the teachers, right? Because we're not mandated to do it this way with support staff. And so we have to ensure that, at least in the compression model, we don't have to do it a certain way. We have to get to the minimum, but we're up to whatever we feel is good for our district and how to do that, right? And so building in the automatic level also ensures that people that are here and that have been here continue to feel valued and their experiences valued, while we're also bringing our very, poverty wages up to where we're getting more toward a living wage.
Wasn't there additional language with this as well, though, in what you gave us for the proposal? Did it not say that this would be automatic and then other increases would be negotiated?
So they would get an automatic level July 1, and then if there were any additional revenues that we would bargain a COLA or other salary improvements. And so they would bare minimum know that they're getting a level increase. And then when we're pulling apart budgets and, coming to the table and we have this, extra money outside of the automatic level, we say, okay, well, we have X amount of dollars after the automatic level increase. Let's talk about a COLA. Let's talk about maybe other salary improvements, and so we're, I guess, essentially not waiving our right to bargain every year, but to ensure that they at least minimally get an experience level increase with our support staff.
Okay.
So just quick, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
So that was that part in there. So if there is extra money outside of the automatic level, that we would come to the table and discuss that.
Okay. That's all the information we have on these costs.
So the question that then we have for you is, knowing that everything now totals, all of your requests total $12 million, what do you want to do, right? Like, how do you want to move forward with a salary proposal or anything? I guess, knowing that we have a very limited amount of funds, right, in which to provide increases to ESP and para staff. And then if you factor in all of the other things, it gets a little pricey. So how do you want to, where do you want to go from here?
I think on some of this, what Stephanie's trying to look for is do you have a counter proposal? In other words, if you don't have a counter proposal, okay.
And you just want to
say
talk
you
through
wanna talk through
something.
something, we can do that. But if you do have it as a hypothetical, say if you had that one of our interests here is to increase supplements, improve on them, right? I haven't heard that on your side. I'm assuming, it's an assumption, that if my assumption is correct, that you too want to improve supplements, right? If so, by how much?
We want to see the data, right? That's what
Right,
she
yeah.
asked about, the data, right?
Yeah.
So we want to see the data first from other school districts to see how they compare. And then we can have that intelligent conversation at that time,
We always have intelligent conversation regardless of the data.
more informed.
So more informed, I gotcha. So is it safe to say that we share an interest in improving supplements this time around, once we take a look at the data?
We are willing to take a look at it and see where we lie.
Okay,
And based on
I
funding
think,
and,
if I may, and I know I'm sitting off the side, respectfully, I think
You come
you
up.
need to prioritize where you want us to put the dollars. Because clearly there's not enough dollars to hit all of these extra simultaneously. So I'll answer your question about stipend. Do we have a vested interest in ensuring that our stipends are commensurable with other surrounding districts? I think absolutely we do. But that does not supersede our priority to ensure that we have a salary schedule that addresses those needs first. So if you were to ask me to prioritize all of these asks, salaries are first. Stipends, probably second or third, because there's other interests that you've outlined here. We need to hear from you. This is, I try to bring a market approach to negotiations at times, which is, we all recognize there's limited funds. And I think I'm comfortable hearing that there's statutory language and language within the contract that will reopen it on both sides. However, for right now, for the sense of urgency and immediacy that we all feel, I'm getting the sense that salaries are your priority. I'd allow to focus there and then create opportunities for stipends and other things later, if that's your interest. However, if there's a willingness to look at stipends and say, well, we'll take less in salary, let's put more in stipends, we need to hear that from you, because that's really where my team can focus their energy. Rather than going back and forth with counters, if you tell us what your real priorities are, Let us focus there, come up with the best proposal there, and then we can address other issues as we go if revenue becomes available. Because again, that contractual language for reopening is also, in there, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is, could we ask you to prioritize what your interests are first, and then let us start looking backwards from there to fund those priorities?
So I think we don't disagree with your priorities. Like what you just stated, our priorities definitely are salaries for para and ESPs. Because that's the driving
Teachers
conversation.
have their own pot of money. that
Yeah,
they can
the
work
teachers
with.
got to the side, but the paras and the ESPs are, their salary improvements are absolute priority, right? And I won't share the history, but they've taken it, in the chin for a little bit here. We like to see some improvements in supplements and stipends, absolutely. If there's some leftover, maybe we can do that. They seem to need to gather the data so that if we do establish our priority, we're there, and there's anything left over, we might do some improvements in the supplement and stipend work. But if not, we certainly want to continue the conversation on how we kind of get there and doing that. But yes, salaries is where we need to be.
So having heard that, thinking, Ms. Porteous, based off our conversation earlier, are you comfortable with the counter this morning or this afternoon? Or do we need to caucus and talk first, or?
Yeah, let's just chat.
Is that a caucus?
Caucus
Yes.
first?
Yes.
Yeah, right here.
All right. Yeah, we'll cut the live feed. We don't need to continue that right now. We're caucusing.
After these short commercials.
Right? Susan,